up. Now, I took today's episode down because it was not good. The sound was all distorted and I didn't like the way it was going. So I went ahead and took it down and I'm going to redo the show tonight. Same content, same good feel, right? Everybody didn't see it. So we're going to get into that. Just making sure I'm good to go. Don't mind me. Get on in here, guys. Get on in here. Check my sound. Don't mind me. Get on in here. All right, we are good to go on sound. Get on in here. Yep, we sound good. We're good to go. Boom, boom. All right. Hope everyone's doing great on this lovely Monday evening. I am your host. My name is Marcus. This is the Daily Rabbit Hole. This is the Deep State Talk Show. So I always say, if you're new to this, welcome. I saw some new people today when I was doing the show earlier. I do appreciate you tuning in. I do appreciate you watching. Feel free to donate, show love. Feel free to share. All right. Now, what we're going to talk about today is the overreach of this global elite. And if there is a little bit of fear with them regarding us, and when I say us, I mean the people, right? Because a lot of times you notice that they're subverting us or they're saying things we don't know and things we don't understand. And a lot of times that gets missed. All right. Now, Kamala said a lot of things this past week with the DNC, last week, excuse me. And one of her biggest slogans was strength through joy. Excuse me. Strength through joy. So much going on there. All right. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the fact that the founder of Telegram has been arrested in France on 14 charges officially. Just came out about an hour and a half ago, maybe 2 hours. Mr. Durov of Telegram has been basically hit with 14 charges in France. He had already had arrest warrants in France. And this really, I think he knew this, but something happens. Of course, his flight gets grounded and he gets stuck. He can't go anywhere else because he doesn't have his passport. So right now he's been arrested in France. All right. If you don't know what Telegram is or the founder of Telegram is, Mr. Durov created an app that has back-to-back encryption on both sides that allows people to conversate privately, share information. A lot of times you get a lot of filth on there on any social media. There's filth on it if you look deep enough into it. Social media has layers to it. So even with that said, the bigger reason why Telegram is in trouble right now is because a lot of the information going through Telegram is coming from correspondents on the ground in these locations like Israel and Lebanon and UK and France and all these places that are having incidents of riots and conflict and war, parts of Africa. It's a lot of countries on Telegram. It's Russian made. All right. So Telegram is basically like the backside, like behind the back rooms of media, I guess news, right? I get a lot of my sources out of there. I get a lot of my information out of there. I guess it is my source, but I get a lot of my content out of there because there's things on there not being reported by our mainstream media. And that's kind of important to us because we need to know what's going on right now with the deep state. Excuse me. But Telegram itself is a really good tool if you use it properly. So let's get into this. Right, not that one. What to know about messaging platform Telegram and the arrest of its founder. All right. The founder of the encrypted message service Telegram has been detained in France over the weekend as a part of an investigation into a lack of moderation and criminal use of the platform. I talked about that. Authorities took Russian-born Pavel Durov into custody at Paris Le Bourget Airport on Saturday evening, local time, immediately after he arrived from Azerbaijan on a private jet. French prosecutors have declined to comment on the case, but it was already known he had an arrest warrant in his name in France. He was reportedly captured after authorities spotted his name on the airport's passenger list. Bet. They snitched. They knew he was on there. Durov's arrest has drawn the ire of Russia, with Moscow claiming it highlights the West's double standard on freedom of speech. Yeah, sure. Easily. Everything about Western philosophy is almost a double standard. That's not anything new. It's not. Now, what I'm thinking the issue is, like I said, is that he's pumping out so much information because there are other encrypted apps that people can use for messaging, like WhatsApp and Signal. All right. Telegram has a service currently about 900 million active followers and has positioned itself, right? So WhatsApp on Facebook has that same encryption, I'm sure, but who trusts Facebook? It's the reason I'm on Rumble right now, not on Facebook, because Facebook BS's a lot. Facebook does a lot of banning, a lot of knocking off of content creators as far as their content, pushing them down in the feed and algorithm. A lot of times, content creators like myself get pushed down. So it's not just me. It's plenty of people watching their account bleed out right now. And as these conflicts arise, you're going to notice more censorship. You're going to notice more incidents of people getting arrested over memes. Now, this isn't new about getting arrested over memes. It's happened before. Okay? Now, I think it's very unique that we have this situation going on right now. Oh, here it is. Because David Goldberg talked about a lot of things with content creators and what would happen with them. All right, before I get into him, I'm going to read this out, a little bit of this about what happened with the Catholic family that their son was arrested over memes. All right, if you don't know what a meme is a little picture. It's a little graphic with a little bit of information on it. The point is that memes are used to kind of put out little gems of information that quote unquote would make people go research. Not always the case. They kind of get people upset. You know, a lot of people argue online. I see it a lot on my page. And the memes kind of get missed. You get a lot of other memes circulating. Most things haven't been really, what's the word I'm looking for? Most memes aren't new. They're just recycled. I make some every now and then and put them out. But most of the stuff I'm getting has been circulating for some time now. It's really nothing new. Now, this incident with the FBI detaining a 15-year-old over memes, this happened December 4th of 2023. All right, the FBI reportedly held a Catholic family at gunpoint and locked them in a van after a 15-year-old Catholic boy posted offensive memes online earlier this year, or that year. According to American Greatness, the 15-year-old boy's father, Jeremiah Ruffini, claimed that the family was dragged out of their home at gunpoint, handcuffed, and locked in a van. It's not funny, but you've seen those movies and those shows where, like, they make the joke where the FBI rolls up, puts the bag over your head in the van, and you just disappear. Yeah, that's not a joke. That shit actually happens. Like, that's where that comes from, right? Says Ruffini claimed that his son, who is an altar boy and a volunteer firefighter, was later hospitalized on the pretense of mental health, naturally. So whatever this young man was sharing, they never actually said what he was sharing. They just said it was extreme political content. And that could be anything. I share political content. I think it's political satire because sometimes I poke fun at the same people that we call our leaders. And political satire has always been a thing. It's not anything new. It's always been around. Whether you want to call it satire or propaganda, it exists. It's always been there. It's always common to make fun of your leadership, just lighthearted, nothing crazy. But a lot of times now, they don't want that anymore. Your politicians don't want to be made fun of because it makes them look bad. Why does it make them look bad? Because probably they're not doing their job, excuse me. Probably, right? We've talked about this, all right? American Greatness reported that while the FBI's investigation into the 15-year-old Catholic boy only resulted in a misdemeanor conviction for breaching of peace, the family was left with devastating legal expenses. So they charged this kid with a misdemeanor conviction. I'm sure they kicked his door in. I'm sure when they bagged him and put him in a truck, that's just horrible. Like, you would need some type of mental health after that. They did all of this over extreme political content. More or less a meme is what they're really trying to say. If you know, you know. That's a meme. I always share those, right? So they're arresting people for this. This is the thing. So when you talk about Mr. Duroff with Telegram, it's not a coincidence. But see, here's the thing. Their information is coming out about them. So tonight's episode does mean that the global elite are afraid of the people. And I am truly believing that right now, because they wouldn't do the things they do, and you wouldn't be hearing the things we hear if they didn't fear us. If you didn't fear us, you would do it out in the open, which you kind of do if you know what to look for, but so many people don't know what to look for. But when I say do it out in the open, I mean you can come right on out and be like, hey, this is how this is going to happen and this is what you're going to do, but they don't do that. See, in other countries right now, like UK and Spain and France and all these other countries that don't have guns, their protests are serious, don't get me wrong, because they have knives. But the people, the protesters are going differently, and the countries are still kind of keeping them at bay. Even in France during the Olympics, they cleaned up the Olympic Square. They pushed everyone out. The protests still went on. The protests with the farmers, the protests with the citizens, they were still happening the whole time the Olympics were going. Through that little box we call a TV, you would have missed that. There was no real coverage on France, anything other than the outage that happened with the railways the opening day. But you didn't hear much about protests. You didn't hear much about burning. You didn't hear much about the tractors being lined up. You didn't hear nothing about that because they don't want the world to know. People are standing up. Israel, Myanmar, Burma, like you can name a lot of countries in conflict right now with the same global elite, quote unquote, that we're talking about in our country. We just call them the deep state. Maybe another name for them in the country, but I like to think that we're all considering these people to be the deep state. All right. So the fact that you're hearing of clamping down on content creators, it's not something that I never talked about. Mr. Goldberg, 2019, he has an interview, apparently his last interview, where he stated that Project Pogo, Project Zephyr were a tandem. And it was basically all your YouTube creators and all your creators on TikTok and all that are essentially feds, which is kind of noticeable when you notice how many operatives or CIA agents are actually having their own platforms and doing really well and still spreading that message. This isn't anything new. But the idea is that we, the people, are listening to all of this. So there's a tag, track, and ID system basically trying to round everyone up via identity, religion, political gain, whatever you're into, whatever you're talking about, you're more likely to put yourself on a list. And the reason I say you're more likely to put yourself on a list because in Pogo and Zephyr, there's a plan to exterminate. But there's a problem with trying to exterminate all these people. It's too many. And they understand that. Even Klaus Schwab last year or earlier this year, I want to say earlier this year, this conversation came out. It made the summit happened last year, but the conversation came out, I want to say around January, February, maybe. All right. Klaus Schwab goes on the record to say that Americans are anti-system. Americans are against the global elite. Americans are against globalism and globalists. And that's entirely true when in our own three forms of government, the judicial, the legislative, and the executive, we all keep saying that they're working against us, and they clearly have their own motives with whoever's funding them. And we know who's funding them. We won't call any names tonight, but we all know. All right. So I got plenty of content to talk about with this tonight. All right. I want to make sure I get this out clear. I don't want to come off as I'm trying to like rile you guys up. You know what I'm saying? In the same breath that I'm reading this information about social media platforms getting banned and social media platforms possibly getting arrested and taken to jail or extradited to the UK because they're in their feelings. I'm not trying to fearmonger, but I'm going to put this message out because apparently there's an overreach with social media, the government, and government leaders right now. I think it's kind of strange now that you're really starting to hear this and get a taste of what's going on because the UK also told Americans, if you interfere with our protests and we think you're linked to it, we're going to extradite you back and we're going to prosecute you. Is it believable? As the current moment, it is. So the director of public prosecution says his team will consider seeking extradition of social media influencers allegedly playing a role in violent disorder gripping the UK from abroad. Stephen Parkinson told the BBC that offenders must know that they are not safe and there is nowhere to hide. He added that anybody involved in the violence should know that they would face the most severe possible criminal charges, including terrorism. Approximately 100 of the 400 people arrested in relation to a week of disorder have been charged, Mr. Parkinson revealed. Prosecutors and detectives are now working through the cases in teams across England and Wales to push as many suspects into the courts as quickly as possible. Some complex cases could take weeks more to be charged, but Mr. Parkinson said prosecutors were absolutely geared up to bring offenders to justice. So they already got a couple social media influencers. They got English Defense League, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, also known as Tommy Robinson. Mr. Tommy Robinson is also on Telegram, and Mr. Tommy Robinson's platform on Telegram is banned in the app stores. Now, if you go on Telegram through your browser, you're more likely to find his content. But Tommy Robinson right now is being silenced. Now, I don't know if Tommy Robinson is a shill or all. I've seen his content. It's all right. I'm not saying, anything good or bad about it. I've seen his content. He seems to be playing the side of the revolution. That's just me. That's all I know about him. I don't really know a lot about Tommy Robinson. I watch his stuff sometimes, but I don't live there, so I don't really just get too deep into his stuff. He's currently in Cyprus. The High Court has issued a warrant for his arrest after he failed to turn up in court last Monday. All right. So the jig's up. Social media influencers interfering in government conflicts or social conflicts. Allegedly, they're trying to take you to jail. Again, there's a sign of fear there because while they call it disinformation and misinformation, sure, a lot of times there's some truth in there. They'll call you everything but a lie. That's how I've always seen it. So the government itself understands the reach of everybody on social media. Even with my platform, The Daily Rabbit Hole, before the shadow bans kicked in, I was reaching roughly around 1.8, 1.9 million people a month through my platform. Soon after, I got hit with a lot of shadow bans and some restrictions, and my platform has been pretty lower since. And it's not just my platform. On TikTok, a lot of pages were deleted. And a lot of those pages have come back, but they haven't come back the same. My page is on there. I got hit. I was also part of that little cleanse TikTok did, but this is the game we're in, guys. When we're out here putting out this information for the people to hear, at some point you got to know you're going to find yourself a target. That's always how I've been. Even without social media, if you were a journalist and you got too close to a story, there's a chance that you could lose your life. Whether you're a cop, journalist, or just someone inquiring into the wrong thing, you may turn over the wrong rock and find something you didn't want to find, and that could be the end. A lot of times, those whistleblowers, like the Boeing 2 who got basically knocked off out of nowhere, no one said nothing. So these things are real. You don't have to be on social media to get close to the truth. You just have to have the truth. And if you got a little bit of truth out there, then that clearly makes you an enemy to the state. This is just kind of the game we're playing right now. And it's unfortunate, sure. But places like UK, they already have huge censorships in anything they do. They have cameras everywhere in London. Like even in their media, there's certain things you can't say. You say something about the Queen or the King, it was over. Right now, if you talk about Charles, you run a risk of being charged. In America, you don't really have that issue. You can say what you say as long as you don't threaten the president. As long as you don't threaten anybody and get too crazy, no one's really going to bother you. For the most part, you can pretty much say what you want to in America as long as you don't say something about two groups of people. We talked about that in the last show. I'm not going to get on that again. But you know who the two groups are. Can't say anything about them without being hit with anti-Semitism or homophobia. And some things need to be said. I'm not one to bite my tongue. It's just that I understand on the internet there's so many algorithms and bots and censors and moderators that anything can be perceived as a threat. Anything can be perceived as bigotry or racism or xenophobia. Just depends on how you word it and what you're talking about and the picture that you're trying to paint for the masses. Now with Telegram, again, there's a lot of content in there out of the Middle East that's not so favorable in Israel's way. A lot of journalists have lost their lives trying to cover this conflict, and the number that I saw today was 100. So since the war began in October 7th, 100 journalists have been killed in Israel for reporting what was going on. And a lot of times, like I said, when you speak the truth, you find yourself dead. That's just how it works here with the global elite and the deep state. This is why I think the deep state is so worried. This is why I think the deep state is trying so hard to hold on to everything and put the puppets out there for us to vote on. Because I don't prescribe or conscribe to Kamala or Trump, excuse me. I don't believe in them. I'm sorry. I just don't buy it. Like Kamala has the strength through joy, and Trump is just badass right now after almost getting hit with a bullet, surviving, and then allegedly fighting the deep state. This is why the right has followed him so far, and this is why JFK brought his crowd over to Trump, because most of Trump's crowd and Kennedy's crowd are conspiracy theorists. I don't like calling us conspiracy theorists, but you know what I mean. It's happening on both sides. I think what happened is that we're being played. It's a tag tracking ID system. I'm finna get to that now with David Goldberg, all right? We're gonna get some content in here. I want you guys to listen to this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing. It's like a 5-minute video. I'm gonna give you like 2 minutes. That's the most important part of it. All right, I want you to hear this. Just a second.
Project Pogo is about the YouTube gatekeepers, how they are all agents. They're all paid to put out truthful information so that they can tag, track, and ID the people that are watching the videos and giving them likes and giving them comments. They're tracking all of it. Project Zypher is a different project, and that's what I'll talk about in a bit. That is the second stage here. That is coming up. And that is the extermination. They're going to exterminate these people, whether it is tag them for anti-Semitic speech, charge them with crimes, eliminate them completely, and this is where I'll talk about in the documents where they talk about guillotines, viral attacks, targeted, how they're going to eliminate these people without too much suspicion, without too many people noticing. But here's the problem. As I read the documents, I can see I have documents from 4 years ago, I have documents from 2 years ago, and then I have documents from 3 months ago. So there's a progression in the timeline as the projects change. And Project Zypher has changed. In the beginning, they were talking a lot about, okay, we are going to infect these people with a virus that imitates the flu virus. They're going to eliminate them in various ways that would not be suspicious. In the documents I have now from 3 months ago, they are saying the amount of people they have to eliminate is too large. It is too many. We are talking about millions of Americans. And this is where we see their plans are changing. And they are going to initiate something that is devastating and that is extremely frightening. Based on what I can see in the documents, we're talking about power outages along with a purge. They're going to come in, they're going to take you out of your home, and they're going to put you into a military vehicle or whatever, a van, and drive you away and place you into a camp. It is a very, very big operation that they're planning. It is millions of Americans. They will do it under the cover of night, under the cover of blackness, during one of these planned blackouts. The blackouts are based on documents. I'm just looking at it right now. They have a 3-day blackout. They have a nationwide blackout that lasts 2 days, and a lot of localized blackouts. So it is a whole series of blackouts that they're going to do. And of course it will be blamed on all kinds of things. They might blame it on Iran. I have seen that mentioned in the documents. They've already prepped people for this. There are going to be more blackouts. There are already predictive programming. So we may see more of this as we go on. As far as I can tell from Project Zephyr or Zypher, they are planning this next year and the year after. They are not done tagging, tracking, and identifying everyone. It looks like they're at about 78%. I looked in the documents, and there were a couple of indications of far along they feel in the project is. They're like 78% done, but they're not completely done. It does take time to identify a YouTube account and then track it to the email that it was created with, and then the IP address, and then find out who created it.
All right, that's 3 minutes. That was half of it. All right. Look, listen. You hear what he said, right? This plan's been in motion. This is 2019 when this came out. So they had, at this point, they had already known that the people were becoming a problem. When I say a problem, I mean that in the most honest and best way possible. All right. The fact that people were waking up and hearing the truth, the fact that people were actually understanding what was going on. And I'm not saying everybody is understanding what's going on, but what I'm saying is people know. People understand. It's enough information that's true that'll make you look at this government sideways. Think about it, all right? Now, when Trump got in office, what happened? All the conspiracy people came out, all right? If you really wanted to know how they figured it out, 2016, Trump came out. Whatever this QAnon MAGA stuff that it is, possibly a psyop, I think it is. But when he came out, he brought everybody out because there were already people assuming there was something wrong. And this isn't an unknown notion in America that the people were disgruntled with the government. In 1995, a gentleman from Ohio who represented the militias of the state came to speak before the Senate, where he explained that you have a lot of disgruntled Americans that are talking, that are pairing up, that are getting themselves together for a possible conflict with America, with the government itself. This is 1995. All right? People, it's 2024. If they didn't believe him then, the numbers after the internet was launched and they could really track the content, they could clearly see that people were watching videos and reading more and understanding that there's something wrong with our leadership. And this can be said because the way our social media and our internet has been perverted, it would seem like the tracking cookies are keeping us in a place of perpetual loops and just scrolling, right? So if you say something out loud, your phone's going to pull it up. If you go on a website and you say, oh, well, I'm looking for shoes and clothes, eventually it's going to start pulling up stuff. Your phone's listening to you. Everything is listening to you. Your router is listening to you. This tag tracking ID system has something to it. And again, I always say that the global elite keep tabs on us because they got to know when to move. Apparently that move had to happen 2020 and they couldn't wait. Now, you guys are talking about Project 2025 out there, and I'm here to tell you that's all propaganda. These agendas have been rolling for some time. They're just putting it out because they need clicks. They need y'all to go vote. So think about TikTok, right? Let's talk about this tag tracking ID. Look at TikTok. Every time you share a video, that name is in there. Think about that. So if your content creators are bot or they're left and right shields, then as soon as you share it and you keep sharing it between the metadata and that tag, you'll know where that video came from. And then if the person is sharing that video, because the notion is that we don't share anything that we don't align with, which is kind of true. I really don't share stuff I don't align with. That's just me. But I know I'm not the only one. It can't be just me. So when you talk about the global elite dealing with us, they understand what they're up against. People, there are millions of us. If you include the Trump supporters that are at 80 million right now, just based on if the votes really are being counted, that was 80 million people. So they know off jump, they got to deal with 80 million people. And this is where your conversations of the UN are coming in at. What does the UN have to do with this? Well, the UN is the global headquarters for the elite. Davos, Geneva, all those two little cities in Switzerland is where the center of power is being held at. That's Satan's throne. There's 33 headquarters up there. FEMA's up there, Red Cross, the Board of Education, the Board of Medicine, all your other like medical stuff, your Heart Foundation. A lot of this stuff is centered in Switzerland. And you know what else is centered in Switzerland? CERN. There's a lot of strange things and strange connections with these global elite in the UN. And their former leader, Klaus Schwab, before he stepped down, he had made some points about Americans being very anti-system, so much that he labeled us as libertarians. I have that footage too. We're gonna watch that. All right. They're talking about us, people. They know we're not going for it. How do you know? When 2020 hit, I'm gonna say this. The jab itself is not what you think it is. You've heard the stories of depopulation. You've heard other stories of just getting you sick. Listen, whether it's sterilization, depopulation, or whatever it was, they used it, but they didn't get everybody. They couldn't push it on us. We were already protesting as a whole. Americans were already protesting over the George Floyd incident that year, and it was pretty much chaos across America. Now, a lot of that was controlled chaos. We're not going to get too far into that, but understand that the global elite got to make it look like we're the enemy. We're not necessarily the enemy amongst each other, but we're the enemy to them. Okay? Now, I'm going to get to this clip, really dope clip. There we go. Wham bam. Dismiss.
We face the backlash of millions of people, particularly in the West, who feel that globalization is not working at their advantage. And for this reason, what we have seen in the elections in the United States, in the Brexit vote, this anger of people against globalization and against the elites, which they feel have profited from globalization. We know we are in a very emotionalized way, so there's an emotional turmoil in the world. People in some parts of the world are angry. Facts do not anymore count. Fake news may become more important than realities. So how do we address this situation? Let me propose those 9 to 10 dimensions. The first one is we should not go back just to the old system of neoliberalism and to say we want to fix the system by making it more inclusive. No. If you look what's happening in the United States, particularly, you have this anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system. So fixing the present system is not enough. Now, there is, of course, an anti-system, which is called libertarianism, which means to tear down everything which creates some kind of influence of government into private lives. It's dismantling the system, and we see certain elements of this now in the new US administration.
Hey, I'm back. All right. My presentation.
The following pre-recorded.
So you two like to try to do things you didn't ask it to do. Hold on, because it's gonna play out. There we go. All right. Listen, what you heard from Klaus Schwab, that's what fear sounds like. You understand what I'm saying? So much that he has to go to another country and give the worst description of libertarianism I've ever heard in my life. It's anti-system. What he's doing, if you notice where he's at, he's in the Middle East right now. I'm guessing Saudi Arabia, all right? Or at least UAE. They don't have libertarianism in their world. That does not exist. But what he's saying is, through change and influence, this can happen. People don't believe in the system. It's not enough to influence it or, fix it. You want to tear it down. That's not what libertarianism is. I'm not a libertarian, although a lot of people can label me as one. This is what a libertarianism is. Listen, it's a political philosophy that places a strong emphasis on the value of liberty. Libertarians advocate for the expansion of individual autonomy with political freedom, emphasizing the principles of equality before the law and the protection of civil rights, including the rights to freedom of association, freedom of speech, freedom of thought, and freedom of choice. Libertarians often oppose authority, state power, warfare, militarism, and nationalism, but some libertarians diverge on the scope of their opposition to existing economic political systems. Various schools of libertarian thought offer a range of views regarding the legitimate functions of state and private power. Different categorizations have been used to distinguish various forms of libertarianism. Scholars have identified distinct libertarian perspectives on the nature of property and capital, typically delineating them along left and right socialist capitalist axis. The various schools of libertarian thought have also been shaped by liberal ideas. So they're a combination of both. It's like the brainchild. Like if a right and the left had a child and they were like, I really don't like either side of you. But I'm a centrist. I'm stuck in the middle. But to them, to the globalists, this sounds like anti-system, anti-globalization. And he's absolutely right. To some extent, it is. See, libertarians do believe in having law and order, but we don't want you in our business. And I say we. I don't want you in my business like that. If I'm not causing a ruckus, I don't want you in my business. I'm not a libertarian. I don't like titles. But I can be put in a classification. This whole idea of anti-system and anti-globalization has these people scared. These people want no parts of us, so much that they would rather us fight each other than them have to deal with us, because it's not enough of the global elite to deal with us. It's only like 2,000 of these people. 2,000 of your richest people in the world. The richest. And you're probably like, all the rich people? All of them. Every last, listen, I know it's hard to believe, but your rich celebrities, the money, absolute power corrupts. And when you have that much money and that much control, that much influence, you're bound to use it poorly because you want to keep what you have. All right? Now, the global elite did not lie in this clip. They don't not acknowledge that there's no elite. They know there's elite. They consider themselves the elite. They are the elite. So we're a problem for their agenda. And I'm gonna tell you now, Project 2025, you need to pick one. There's about 3 of them, 4 of them. You got the World Economic Forum that was headed by Klaus Schwab, 2025, the Great Reset, which the Democrats and the Build Back Better, that's where that came from. Build Back Better is that. See, y'all don't understand how this game is being moved. Y'all think like when I say there's a deep state, you're like, oh, you're just with your conspiracies. No, I'm not playing around. These people are passing policies. These people are meeting in private and talking about us as if we're less than. We are a problem to their plans. So to fix the problem, you're going to create chaos. You're going to sow discourse into your own people. This is where your psyops are coming from. Think about it. Listen, think about what David Goldberg said. All the YouTubers, your most popular YouTubers, your most popular people with influence, they always want people with influence. If you have some real influence or you look promising, they're going to pull you in. Ask the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, because guess who was there? Influencers getting paid to tell you who to vote for. Radios getting paid to tell you who to vote for. Podcasts, all of them. All of them. I'm just here, I'm just a lonely American giving you information that I know about. And I'm willing to sit here and break it down. I wasn't invited to the BET Awards. I wasn't invited to the DNC. They don't want no parts of me. Yeah. This system is real. And we as the little people have to do better. Okay? Now, I have some other content. I want to show you this clip as far as what they want us to do. Have you seen the movie Leave the World Behind? I love it. Even though I know the Obamas executive produced it and they took the files from their own cabinets and helped make this movie, there's some truth to this movie, and it's going to explain. And we're going to get into it after the clip. All right? Give me a second. Find my folders. Where is it? Here it is.
First stage was isolation. Disable their communication and transportation. Make the target as deaf, dumb, and paralyzed as possible, setting them up for the second stage. Synchronized chaos. Terrorize them with covert attacks and misinformation, overwhelming their defense capabilities, leaving their weapon systems vulnerable to extremists in their own military. Without a clear enemy or motive, people would start turning on each other. Done successfully, the third stage would happen on its own. What's the third stage? A coup d'etat. Civil war. Collapse.
You hear that? With no clear enemy and no clear understanding, we will be forced to attack ourselves while they're hiding. Remember in this movie, he was talking to his general buddy, and his buddy, he had a conversation, and his buddy was like, I'm gonna miss these conversations. He's like, what do you mean? And said, you'll figure it out at one point, basically, and he just disappears. This is the conversation of the bunkers, right? Think about it. They're not gonna get involved with us. They would rather us tear each other apart, go hide, and then come back and try to repopulate the world like the Georgia Guidestones said. Guidestones. Remember the Georgia Guidestones before they got demolished or blown up? They said they wanted to drop the population down nearly 95% to 500 million, and then the Guidestones were there to tell you how to resurrect civilization and move forward. But see, the thing is that wasn't for us, that was for them. So they have the idea, this agenda is already in motion, people. The agenda's rolling, all right? We here. The propaganda that he was talking about hit him with so much propaganda, so much influence, so much disinformation. You see the little Muslim things, they were dropping down the little leaflets. All right, those are memes. That's what a meme is. That's what your memes are right now. That's essentially the same idea. See, the global elites understand something. They understand how to manipulate humans as a whole in their herd mentality. That's sociology. It's the study of social events, social movements, social constructs. Okay? So when I say they're afraid of us, they have to do these things while we're not paying attention, excuse me. When we're not looking, they're subverting us. When we're looking, they're they're sitting here shaking hands, kissing babies, taking pictures, pandering on the Breakfast Club. Like, for the people who can't see it, it just looks like these are real good people and these are people for us. But for the ones who have eyes and ears, and they use their senses and they learn how to critically think, you would understand that there is something extremely wrong with everything going on. Everything. If you think it's by design children are trying to cut off their private parts, and you don't think it's by design, I don't know what to tell you. If you think those people that came out for Trump was just an accident, it's not. There's no coincidence here. This is all perfectly planned agendas. And right now, they're at the point where they can't keep hiding. Things keep making surface to the news. If you have been listening to your news, I don't care how much you think it is slop, there's an uncomfortable truth. If you really listen and pay attention, they'll tell on themselves every time. A lot of the events you're hearing are slanted. And this is what got Telegram in trouble, because what people are doing, like myself, is that I'll hear the news, and what am I finna go do? I'm finna go cross-reference this on Telegram, and I got all kinds of pages. I got independent publishers. I got people in the Middle East. I got people in Ukraine. It's like I know these people. I don't know who's behind this page, but whoever's putting this information out, they're not putting out bad information. I'm seeing what's going on in Israel. I'm seeing what's going on the Gaza Strip. If you're on my Telegram page, you've seen it too. Don't forget to follow the Telegram page, Official Daily Rabbit Hole. Plug that in. It's not funny, but listen, these people are really working against us. Again, they sold drugs to Americans. There's fluoride in your water. We know the Alphabet Boys shot the president. That's in there. Not officially shot him, but they had something to do with it. In 1999, the FBI was actually indicted on the death of Martin Luther King by Martin Luther King's mother. And then she later met her demise that same year. Again, you can go look all this up. This is all factual. So remember, when you're talking about voting for people, remember, these people don't like you. They're just trying to solidify their legacy, become president of the corporation and the deep state, and go from there. They'll never be the CEO of the deep state. They'll be the president. These people want no parts of us when we find out the truth. This is why they will rather let us tear ourselves to shreds or tear each other to shreds before they have to deal with us, because the police ain't gonna do it, the military ain't gonna do it. These people ain't turning on us to kick in our doors. You gotta be out of your mind to kick in American doors on a coordinated attack. That word is gonna get out quickly. Listen to what David Goldberg said. They were gonna do it under the guise of a power outage or a cyber attack. And what is the biggest conversation in our media is the cyber attacks that keep happening. We just lost all our social security numbers. Who do you think would be the ones to kick in our doors if this was real? Let's play this game. It ain't gonna be the military. It's 3 million, maybe 4 million people in the whole U.S. military between the active duty, reservists, and guard. Okay? 2/3 of those are gonna deflect. I'm gonna tell you now. They're from here. Okay? Why would you do? The guard is gonna have to patrol its own state. Then you have to deal with the militias, because the militias will be activated in this incident. Okay, so We can't count on the military. The military ain't gonna kick in our doors. That's not what we're worried about. Could it be the police? Sure, but they're gonna have to do that in their own city to their own family members and their own people. So that's a horrible risk, and there's not enough of them to deal with the whole city. It's just not. But you know who is kind of hovering around right now? You know, it's about 10 to 15 million of them. Got a little incident in Aurora, Colorado right now. Got an incident in Chicago. I've been hearing word too in Chicago that the vice lords and the GEs are pairing up against these Venezuelans. They're going to let us tear each other apart. The people coming across your border aren't just Venezuelan gangs. It wasn't just South America and Central America that's come over here. You have Russia, you have China, you have Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria. I think I already said China. You got Libya over here. Everyone is over here. You have the Africans from the certain groups of Africans from different parts. They're all over here right now. And you know how the UN sources its military, the blue helmets, through other countries' militaries. It's a reason people were screaming that the fighting age males were coming across, because there wasn't a lot of women. Something to think about, guys. So if there was someone that David Goldberg was talking about that would be bold enough to do it, who would be bold enough to do it? I would assume someone getting $9,000 a month, $2,000 in food stamps. They got their rent paid for the next 2 years. They got free medical care. They're getting ready to vote because they're going to get a Social Security number. Where do you think them Social Security numbers are about to get? Where do you think they came from? I guarantee by the end of this, you're going to hear about people who voted twice. When they go to vote, they're not going to be able to vote because their Social Security number was already used. Mark my words, it's coming. There's a group of people here that if they could pull this off, they could get America. But it's only 10 to 15 million. So I assume that they're going to either A, let us tear ourselves apart, follow through with the executive orders and declare martial law, but it'll be too late by then because everybody would have paired up by now. See, what no one's understanding about kicking in doors is that the U.S. military right now, I believe, has it down to about 8 to 10 doors an hour. All right, but that was in the Middle East and this is America. You get to about between 8 to 10 doors in an hour. Out of 10 doors, you honestly got a 50-60% chance of getting shot. Out of those 8 to 10 doors, you got a 50%, if not higher, chance of getting gunned down by someone in their home. Because one thing about Americans is, I'm not going to sit here and act like we got the best people running around. We're a pretty overweight group. But I'm going to tell you the truth about something. When they tell you there's a gun behind every blade of grass in America, that is absolutely true. There are 360 million people in America with 365 million guns. They're saying most people who are gun owners have more than one, at least 5. And that's an enthusiast. That's a hobby. An enthusiast is like 10 to 15. 20 is a collector, and anything past that, you're just getting ready to arm a whole entire town. This is a true statement. You got to realize the gun violence that we have in America is working against us, but it can also work against them if they fuck around and find out. But they're gonna try it. It's gonna be under the guise of dark. It's gonna be under some type of incident where it could be a cyber attack and the lights go out and then we're all in our houses. They said that man said that they were gonna come at nighttime. Why? Because they're least likely to do anything. You're already laid in the bed. That's the plan. But the problem was that it's too many people. So when Klaus Schwab is talking about anti-system, he knows in America there's about 80 to 100 million people who are literally believing this whole deep state thing, and I'm one of them. I'm part of that 100 and something million that's like there's clearly a deep state. That's a third of America that believes that. You guys understand what I'm saying? A third of America has a feeling that our government is fucking us over. and they full-heartedly believe it. And there's pretty much proof that there's something wrong. You can go look into the income tax, you can look into the wartime policies. The Federal Reserve is questionable, extremely questionable. It's a private entity. There are things inside of our country that no one's really looking at that don't make sense until you really pay attention. And when you really pay attention, you become a threat. Not to me. You're not a threat to me. You're a threat to the global elite. That's just how it's going to end up. Unfortunately, it's 100 million, it's 80 million to 100 million people. The Democrats got 15 million new voters. So right now, the left does not see it at all. We're not even counting the left. If they were talking about starting the world over, it's going to be with the left who don't know shit. The left has no idea what's going on. The people that I'm talking to have no idea. A lot of people don't believe in the system, but they don't know what to do, they don't have time to research, and they don't understand what's going on. So it's hard to explain it to them. And then you got everyone on the right and in the middle, RFK Jr.'s people, that understand what's going on. And the global elite know we know what's going on. Because like Klaus Schwab said, there's this anti-system revolution going on in America where the quote-unquote libertarians want to tear down the system. No one wants to tear down the system. I need law and order in this country. I got a family, people. I'm not trying to be out here full of chaos and acting weird. I ain't got time for that. I like law and order. I also like the government not in my doggone business. I also like fluoride not in my water. I want Flint to have clean water. I want child hunger to end. I want homelessness to end. There's things that I would like to end. That's all I'm saying. But that does not mean we want to tear the system down. We just want to tear their system down and replace it with something healthier, where we're not all sick and shit, mentally, physically, spiritually. We got to get past this. And this is why I'm saying the global elite fear us, because they know. They know. And it ain't just us in America. They got hell in France right now. They catching hell in the UK. Eventually, someone's going to get hurt. And they're already getting hurt, but I mean, it's going to hit the fan harder. Aurora, Colorado's dealing with it right now. You're hearing about gangs clicking up right now. You already know there are militias moving around the country. That ain't nothing new. Eventually, sides are going to start being taken. This ain't no fear-mongering. I'm here to give you the spiel. But there's something clearly wrong with what we're doing and who we're dealing with. Now, I have a little bit more content for you. I'm not done. Now, how do you think they want to try to corral us in to calm us down, right? If you were them, wouldn't it be a good idea to send, a likable candidate, someone that people believe in, someone to corral us in? Well, that's what the left is trying to do, because the right understands that they want this over, but the right thinks it's already happening. And to be honest, it might be happening. I can't really say it's not. So I do think that whatever's happening, it's for their benefit. Trump is playing the game. Remember, this man was best friends with Epstein. He was once friends with the Clintons until JFK Jr. passed away. You guys know what happened with that. They say Clinton has something to do with it. Can neither confirm or deny that. I wouldn't be shocked. She has a long list of bodies behind them. So, there was a statement stated in the DNC for 4 days straight. It was called Strength Through Joy. And to the average person, they're like, yeah, joy. We want to feel pride. We want to feel good. We're happy. There's strength in us being happy in the Democratic Party. Said nobody ever. I'm going to insert something for you. And this is where strength through joy came from. Are you prepared? Are you ready? Feast your eyes. The KDF was a German NSDAP operated leisure organization in Nazi Germany. It's part of the German Labor Front. Set up in November of 1933 as a tool to promote advantages of Nazism to the German people and internationally, it was also used to ease the process of rearmament of Germany. Through its structure of organized events and promotion of propaganda, it was also intended to prevent dissident and anti-state behavior. By 1939, it had become the world's largest terrorism operator. Was intended to prevent dissident and anti-state behavior. They wanted to call the human spirit to revolt. Because inside of humans, there's a defense mechanism when we're being oppressed, and we know we're being oppressed. See, people don't think that flight or flight response is real. But when you're being oppressed, you're going to make a choice. See, the KDF understood that, so they tried to get ahead of it. They didn't want anyone revolting against them. They didn't want anyone to be anti-state, anti-Nazi. To be anti-Nazi was to be anti-Germany. To be anti-democratic is to be anti-American. That's the game they're playing right now. The KDF was composed of several departments with their own specific goals. With each department organizing different leisure activities, it organized activities such as sporting events on factory floors, art exhibitions, discounted concerts, and most famously and popularly, subsidized holidays and cruise trips. One of its largest departments, although sometimes considered a separate organization altogether, was the Beauty of Labor, which concerned itself with the physical and sanitary improvements of the workplace. KDF was responsible for the improvements of several factories and sports facilities throughout the operation in the 1930s. Does this sound familiar? And this is what Kamala was screaming all 4 days. This is what they were all screaming in the DNC. Strength through joy. And everyone was sitting there chanting it. See, they're banking on us not paying attention. See, they were banking on no one really saying anything, just being like, oh, that's normal. But see, what they forget is that the anti-system libertarians, as they call us, oh, we on top of y'all. We know. Someone's gonna say something. So when someone's like, you should look into what that says, they didn't want to say what it was, and I see why they didn't want to say what it was. See, I'm bold. I ain't tripping. I don't condone any of this shit. I'm just here to put out the information as I get it. I don't have a side. My side is with the people. That's not anything on that red and blue shit. Y'all can have that. I don't want that. I want equality. I want real equality, not that half-ass shit they've been giving us. This is why people say the Democrats are the closest thing to Nazis. See, the Republicans are playing the game right now. See, they knew that the people like me and you and everyone else was on that side. See, they knew we weren't going to go for that. So what they did was they gave us a candidate. See, if they had pulled out any other Republican, they wouldn't have showed up to them polls. See, they knew people had stopped voting. Voting was getting very old. See, but they gave you Trump, and Trump gave you the bread and circus. So did Kamala. And when you want to lull the mass to sleep, you give them bread and circus. You promise them stuff. You bring out the drums and the kids and the famous people and the influence, and you wave at them, take pictures, kiss babies. These are the tactics of the deep state, people. These people don't like you. These people don't want nothing to do with you. Kamala's paying people to act like us. She's paying people to tell her how to act like us. This is what I'm trying to say. See, we pay people to act like them. So we'll get someone to dress us up, make us look good, go out there and make it seem like we're elites. They're paying people to dress them down, bring down their conversation so that they can come down to us and tell us to vote for them, and then they're going to disappear for another 3.5 years. This is a game. It's a game of chess. I've always shared the Psy Wars. Guys think that this PSYOP shit is fake. It's not. It's real. This little bit of information is just not even the tip of the iceberg. This is like a little chink on the top of it. Like if you wanted a cube of ice in your drink, I just chinked off like clink, 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 3 of them for you. You put that in your drink and you can sip on that and figure out what the fuck is going on for yourself. I'm giving you the information. I'm pointing you in a direction. I done gave you names. I done gave you videos. I done gave you content. I done gave you plenty of things to go look for and understand what's going on. So now you can't sit here and say, well, I didn't know. See, that's not my aim to leave you uneducated when you get off my show. My aim is to tell you what the deep state is doing because I'm tracking it best as I can. And I'm going to give it back to you and let you decipher it because that's my job. I'm not here to sway you. I'm just here to put this information out because I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican. I really don't consider myself a libertarian, but I kind of respect their views. See, I'm not the only one who sees this. It's plenty of people that see it. It's plenty of people that's been watching it for some time. It's been going on at least 100 years in America. Well, actually, it's longer than 100, but if you want to document when the Federal Reserve showed up and when we got onto this system, 100 years. Roughly 103, give or take. See, these people played the long game on us. See, our grandparents didn't see it. Some of them, but not all of them. Then our parents couldn't see it because they were too busy in the rat race trying to get past the crack epidemic and the AIDS epidemic. And then my generation, the Zennials, a little mix between X and Y, see, we've been hit with the most psyops out of all of them. 9/11, the banking collapse, crypto. There's so many events that we can name that we've been a part of. And this is what's led us to this conclusion that there's clearly something wrong. And it's not just, this is the way the world is. That's not how it happens. It's just not, that's not how the world is. That's how these people are. And these people are the ones keeping it going. See, people think that the Nazis disappeared after World War II. They didn't. Operation Paperclip, baby. Go look it up and drop it in another gem. Operation Paperclip. And then all of a sudden, America's medical got better. America's science got better. Then all of a sudden, Mockingbird showed up. Then the CIA showed up. Then the UN showed up. Then Israel showed up, because Israel was founded in 1948 officially. Actually, 1918 when the Balfour Declaration was signed, but the modern day Israel, the corporation, 1948. You can go look that up. It's called the Balfour Declaration. I'm not going to get into that. Go look it up. See, this deep state thing has been a long plan to say, learn something. You can't do it all at once because it'll start a revolution. So what you do is you subvert them. You lie to them in the media. You pump out propaganda that we can't tell is real or fake. So at one point in America, you couldn't do that. Good old Obama appealed the Smith-Mundt Act and brought that into existence to where your social media and your mainstream media could run psyops and propaganda on you. And you wouldn't know the difference because you were supposed to be trusting these people. See, that's how I know the deep state fears the people. Because they could have came out and been a totalitarian, totally authoritative. I couldn't get the word out. Too many T's. Don't judge me. Authoritative group. All right? I couldn't get it out. All right? These people could have been that. But see, they know they got to hide. Because if we really understood what was going on, we would be highly upset and we would start knocking on doors. But see, we don't do that because we like our way of life in America. We like our way of life in America so much that we've given up all our freedoms just so we can sit at home and feel like we're safe. Because people thought the government had their best interests. They don't. They're globalists. They don't care about you. They care about the elite and making it comfortable for themselves and their families and making us slaves. So you think the FEMA camps are fake. Y'all think the guillotines are fake. Y'all think these theories are fake. They're not fake. They came from somewhere. And these people are hot on that trail to make something happen. And it's coming. It's coming. See, the Project 2025 they gave y'all, that's horseshit. That's not even the real one. You need to go to the actual website, to the World Economic Forum. You need to look into Agenda 20 and see what it started off as, or Agenda 21. You need to look into Trump's, what is it, the Awakening 47, the Great Awakening, Project Awakening, whatever. See, everyone has an agenda, but what no one's saying is it's two sides of the same coin. None of this is new. Project 2025 was just propaganda to scare you to vote for the left, and it worked. I got people sending me videos talking about Project 2025. I don't take that shit seriously. I'm going to tell you why. Because most of the stuff that people are worried about them doing, they're already doing. Marginalizing black people, that shit's been going on forever. What else? Marginalizing black people, mass surveillance in the police state. They've already done that. Police immunity, they already have that. A lot of things that y'all are scared of are already happening. That's what blows my mind. You guys are scared of shit that's already happening, like it's not happening. Right now, child hunger is real. We're getting killed on inflation. We're being taxed almost 50% on the dollar on everything we're being taxed on because we got income tax, sugar tax, tobacco tax, education tax, which I'm okay with, education tax, soda tax, electronic tax, new item tax, car tax. We're getting taxed on everything. 240-something years ago, they fought over 3% tax. We were being taxed somewhere around 45-50%, if not more. We're already behind. But there's a way out. Through the people, they know they can't mess with us. Through the people, they know those 10, 15 million troops they brought in ain't gonna stand a chance if people stay together, stick together. They build communities and train each other and hold each other down. You ain't gotta like each other. I said it in the last show. I don't need you to sympathize with the black plight. I just need you to help us get rid of this fucking situation. I don't need your sympathy and I don't need your empathy. I just need your help to get rid of this shit. And then we can get back to it. We can get back to a better time for our children where they're not mysteriously losing 86,000 children at the border 4 years ago. 4 years later, that shit's 300,000. Where do you think these children are? Where do you think they're going? Who do you think is taking them? At some point, you gotta realize it's your own government. You gotta realize they've been already hit on funding terrorism. See, the deep state doesn't have any limits. That's what y'all don't understand. The deep state don't have limits. Do as they will, they're gonna go out there and make it happen. I'm not saying we need to do the same thing. I'm saying we need to stick together and stop trying to tear each other apart. Because the deep state is just waiting on us to really flip that switch. But they're definitely pushing protest on people. They're definitely pushing genderless reassignment on children. They're definitely pushing a police state that we're pretty close to already being in. Real close. We just don't have all the cameras up everywhere yet. But those towers, oh yeah, those 5G towers are not what you think they are. And there are little antennas around every city in America. You don't even know it. See, these people already have something planned for us because they're trying to stay ahead of it. But see, they understand human nature to survive. They understand that we don't like globalism. So for us, we're going to end up revolting. Whether it's us standing up and making them pay the way they need to pay, and that's to lose money. Lose control. If they lose the money, they lose the control. If they can't control us, they can't do nothing else. All they gonna do is go hide. It's what they do every other 250 years. That's why I'm saying the global elite fear us. I'm not trying to rally y'all up and get y'all out here, and I'm not. You don't even got to do that. You give it 1 month. If you didn't go to work for 1 month, you didn't pay bills for 1 month, you didn't do nothing for 1 month, the corporations can't make any money if no one's at work. Sure, you're going to put the migrants in there, but good luck. Good luck. It'll be too late. You're going to go bankrupt. And I know it. They know it. This is why they try to keep you in a state of perpetual fear. Want to make you feel good, make you go shopping. Go buy that liquor. Go buy Beyonce's new liquor from Hennessy. Yeah, we like that. You see Kamala? Yeah, we want you to look at her and feel safe, black women and white women, Asian women, like they care about y'all. They didn't give y'all rights till 1973. Y'all really buying this shit? Be real. They didn't give women rights till like 1973. And y'all eating this up like they really like y'all. They don't. They killing y'all through tampons and pads. Cold game out here. See, I understand what's going on out here. I see it. I get it. It's everywhere. All I'm asking from the left and the ones who may still not believe what I'm saying on the right, there's a few. Trump ain't for you. Kamala ain't for you. None of these people are for you. See, these people got their own lives, their own lineages, their own bloodlines, and their own money. And they're tired of sharing it with us. That's just how the cookie crumbles. See, what's going to happen is, my opinion, we're going to get a couple more shock events. We're going to get a couple more outages. And then one day, it's not going to come back on. And that might be the day David Goldberg was proved right. Rest his soul. 2-day blackout, 3-day blackout, and the big blackout. And they're going to come in the guise of night and kick indoors and take all the people who are following this kind of content or making it and putting it out. Tag, track, and ID. But see, that's a lot of people. 80 to 100 million. With 10 to 15 million migrants. Them numbers still work in our favor. So what could possibly happen is you see chunks of 50,000 here, chunks of 10,000 there, chunks of 40,000 here, chunks of 30,000 there, just like in our own wars with the Middle East. It's not like people all lined up in a big line on the battlefield and they stood like 100 yards away and then they ran into each other and started fighting. See, they don't do that. The U.S. military is going to drop off 10,000 here, 20,000 there, 30,000 here, another 5 here, and they're going to strategically place them in the major cities because that's where all the money and the control and power is at. See, a lot of that issue that they're going to have are in the rural areas. See, the cities are going to be in chaos, but those small towns, those rural areas, like Jason Aldean said, try that in a small town, that's why he said it, and that's why they called it racist, because it's true. The biggest resistance is going to come from the rural areas. The cities are going to crumble because y'all don't know no better. Y'all just going to be running around. They can cut y'all off from supply. They can do a lot in the city, but you can't do that in a rural area. And most of America is rural. All your cities are along the coastlines. Something to think about. So, and if this time comes, I'm sure it will come. Just depends on how long it takes. We're still getting into Agenda 2030. See, we're getting out of Agenda 25. We're getting ready to go past that. See, now this is it. This is the beginning, and then we're gonna get to 2030. Then that's gonna be Agenda 2030, and then it's gonna go from there. 25 is already there. So there was 21, 25, and then there's 30. This is almost a 10-year plan. Yeah. So all this hoopla about Project 2025 that they put out there for y'all, that ain't the real one. See, they didn't want you to realize the left was on that same side too, so they lied and told you Trump was just pure 2025. He's not. It's just the World Economic Forum and the globalists. The Great Reset, World Economic Forum. Build back better, baby. 222. See the B's in the numerology and gematria? Yeah. Always pay attention to the symbols. Always pay attention. I'm sure I'm saying stuff and people are like, damn, this motherfucker's just saying stuff. No, not at all. If you know, you know. If you know, you know. I'm just saying, be prepared to have to stand up for yourself because the global elite are not going to give up. It's not over. They're going to keep trying, but see, they know better. And I'm telling you, they know better. If they didn't know better, we would already been through this motion. Internet would have been cut a long time ago. They would already kicked in my door, put the bag on my head, and cut off my feet. But see, there's too many of us. There's too many guns. There's too much going on. They don't want to run up to that. It's a lot of veterans, a lot of hunters, and a lot of gun enthusiasts, and everyone in between that, you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to make a choice for your family. Are you willing to fight for your country? Are you willing to fight for your family? If you're willing to fight for your family, I'll stand on the side of you. I don't really too much care about the leadership of this country, but if you care about your family and you care about the future for your kids, I'll stand on the side of you, or at least help you some way I can. Because that's all that really matters is we're fighting for our own legacy, our own wealth, our own land. And don't fall for that reparations shit either. I'm going to tell you that now. I know how y'all get about reparations, black people. Don't fall for that shit. They've been talking about it a long time. You notice every time they mention reparations, it's around election time. And then that shit disappear until elections show up for like Senate, and then it disappear again. Be better, because they know they can't mess with us. They know that they have to subvert us and lie to us and trick us into starting this conflict so they can pull the executive order and call martial law. See, they understand that. We don't. See, we think we're just operating under regular shit. We're not. We're operating under the Constitution. They're not even following the damn law. The only time they follow the law is when it follows them, when it benefits them, excuse me. Admiralty law, that's all them when they need it to work. That's for currency. The Constitution, when they need to protect themselves. Civil rights, when they need to make sure a certain group don't come after them. See, there's layers to their games. There's layers to their system. And the more you sit on this show with me, the more you're going to understand that there's layers to all that they do. It doesn't stop at one level. It's all the way down to the grassroots. Like I told you, every time you see a protest, be careful. Political proxy groups are real, just like political war groups are real. Hamas is a proxy group. So is Hezbollah. So is Taliban. So is ISIS. Those are all proxy groups. Someone's paying them to manage all that. Someone's telling them what to do because they can't be seen doing the same thing or overstress the military because they already know the military is this close from walking out on them right now. Real close from walking out. That's why they don't want to do a conflict with us, because they know they're going to walk out. And now you got former guard, former active duty with militias, and everyone paired up and understanding who the enemy is. When we find out who the enemy is, which I've just showed you a couple faces before Americans, look at the faces they keep showing you every day. That's your enemy, not your neighbor, unless he's a weirdo. A pedal or some PDF file, then yeah, sure. If he's like a serial rapist, or yeah, get rid of him. But your neighbor is not your enemy. Your brother is not your enemy. That young man down the street is hungry just like you. That's the reason why y'all out there about to kill each other over $20. Y'all hungry. I get it. But you're not the enemy to your brother in this country or his sister in this country. The only enemies to us are the ones that keep subverting us and lying to us and passing policies that don't benefit us, or the people who keep putting fluoride in the water and spraying stuff in the skies and chemicals in our food. Ladies, the chemicals in your tampons, absolutely absurd. You guys should be absolutely mad. I've learned so much through my wife about tampons and the chemicals in them that I've understood that a lot of y'all have been lied to, and it's fucking up your pH balance. Like, that's all I've understood. It's chemicals in it. Go natural, girl. Find you something out there that can help you. Fellas, get out there and get your testosterone back pumping again, baby, because we need that masculinity out here. We need your teeth sharpened because the global elites know what time it is, and they know that clock is ticking. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Before I go, this is my end message to you guys. Everything we talked about, from social media founders being locked up to young kids being arrested because they shared a meme, Klaus Schwab, all this stuff is tied to each other. It's called censorship. It's called dictatorship. We're dealing with something that we weren't prepared for, but I tell you, if we all hold strong together, I swear we'll come out of this better. I promise you we will. I don't care if you're a Democrat, that's a lie. If you're a Democrat, fucking fix that shit. I was trying to be nice. I couldn't lie to you. If you're a Democrat, fucking fix it. If you're a Republican, get smarter and stop following everybody. And if you're stuck in the middle and been mislabeled as a libertarian, it's okay. I get it. We're just tired of watching this shit play out the way it's playing out. What I want to tell y'all is that y'all need to stand together now. You need to start prepping your homes now. You still have time. I promise you, you still have time. I know food is expensive, but if you spend $20 a month towards prepping, I swear that can do something. You can get $20 worth of canned goods and put them away. You can get $20 worth of water and put it away. I promise you, man. It can be done. You can go buy you ammo, nickel and dime that. That's why I call it petty prepping. You ain't gotta sit here and drop $100, man. But what I'm telling you is, get your homes in order, get yourselves together, and get right with whoever you need to get right with, because the global elite are gonna try it. You think CrowdStrike was something? I'm telling you, if they decide to cut these lights out, you're gonna be highly upset. You're gonna hear my voice in the back of the head. I told you. I told you. I told you. I'm not gonna keep you up. I know it's Monday. You guys got to work tomorrow. I appreciate you sitting on here with me. Before you go, don't forget to follow the Daily Rabbit Hole on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube and everywhere that I'm at. I'm on everything. It's just some of them don't like me and they be banning me sometimes. So, look, I'm on everything. I'm on all platforms. My big boy platform is Facebook. That's where a lot of my commotion is at. I'm on Instagram, like I said. I'm on TikTok when they're not being hella sensitive. I was on Twitter, but Twitter deleted my page for me, so I won't go back on Twitter. Twitter can eat a dick, and so can Elon, because he's an elitist. All right? You guys have a great night. I think I'm going to do an afternoon report since I had to redo this show tonight, and I deleted my afternoon show, so I may pop up here and do an afternoon report with you guys. You guys have a great night. Thank you for listening. Understand that the global elite fear us. They have plenty of reasons to do it. All right? Plenty of reasons to fear us.